think we'll go down the line of all the merge people. We talked about Aurora enough, I think. Let's go on to Charlie.
Charlie's not doing as hot as I thought. I like him, but I'm kind of surprised how not necessarily like on the bottom he is, but he's being left out of a lot of stuff. Like he's not part of these massive alliances. He's not being told about a couple things.
He's not doing much.
Yeah.
The one thing, Charlie, that I've noticed, I don't think anyone's like burning to kill him though. I keep saying
no. We compared him to Donathan pre-season. That was a player in Ziggy's original season. And I think that's pretty accurate. I could see him being final 3 GOAT and with a good chance to win.
Kind of somebody who stays and gets to like 5 or 6 before they realize that he's there and get rid of him.
I'm wondering if maybe now that Chris is back, maybe he'll start to pick it up a little bit because I know Chris loves him. But I don't know. I really haven't been seeing as much as I thought pre-merge he was doing amazing. Everyone loved him, but he after the swap he really hasn't had the same initiative, and he really has been left out of a lot of stuff.
Well, he went to Mexico, so
oh, that's probably why. I didn't realize that.
Well, no, but I mean, I think he should be back by now. I don't. He's fallen out of it for me. He's out of the conversation. He should be doing a lot better, and he's not. I know he's a really likable guy. He's got final 3 GOAT written all over him at this point. I think he could get some votes in a final 3.
I don't think he's going to the final 3. I think that he'll at least be perceived as too likable for that, and they're going to cut him before that point.
It depends. If he's at this level of activity, he will not be a threat to win. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, but I don't think that's going to, stay the same.
I remember Donathan also went on a trip. His granddad or someone in his family died, and he also like took a couple of days off right at the beginning of the merge, and it like really fucked him for the long haul. Like people never talked to him after that.
I mean, we tell people this all the time. You think you can wait until final 7 and then pull out your big moves, but more often than not, like the opinion of you at the start of a merge travels throughout the merge. So it is important to kind of get out there, at least be in the conversation of alliances. I mean, if you're just laying back and floating along, that's not a good winning game to be playing.
Mm-hmm. Nofo, do you have any thoughts on Charlie?
No.
Thanks. Beautiful commentary.
All right, well, let's move on to someone more interesting. Chris.
Oh my God, Chris. I love Chris. He's so ridiculous. He's so evil.
Yeah, Chris pre-merge, very anti-woman. He's part of the He-Man Woman Hating Club. Kind of unusual for a gay guy to be so anti-woman. Not to be stereotypical, but typically.
Of course not.
The gay men we had, more often than not, are very attached to the women in the game.
Mm.
I mean, like I said, in my experience, gay men can be far more misogynistic and sexist than straight men.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise.
I would know. It really depends on who you're talking to.
Okay.
There's sure as fuck a segment though.
I don't think he's misogynist, but he does absolutely hate women in this game. I don't think he's misogynist just because he also thinks all the women are men. So I don't think it's very fair to call him misogynist. But he just hates the women's tribe so much. And it shows in all of his confessionals.
Interesting. Levita had a good point about this, where she said it was almost like a study. Of course, Levita's a psychologist. Is going to be a psychologist, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong on that. But she was making the point that it was a perfect study in how people's tone changes when they're in power versus when they've lost power. Because instantly after he was blindsided, he went from anti-women, we can't work with them, we just need to get them out, we're in control, there's nothing that they can do, they all suck, to like immediately groveling, I want to work with Aurora. I don't know why she doesn't like me. When like he was the one saying this whole time, Aurora's got to go and all this stuff. I will say, to his credit, now that he's on the bottom, it was almost a benefit to him that he was blindsided right before the merge, because now he is groveling. He's in the mix with everyone. He's getting to know all the women. He's done like a complete 180. And I think that that's benefited him a lot. It's like a different player, really.
I can't imagine that the people who are on a tribe with him are going to let him kind of get away with that.
I'm surprised they are. To me, it looks like they are letting him get away with it. He's impressed me a lot. I was kind of shocked by how quickly he's turned things around, at least for him. I still think he's very much on the bottom, but I don't see him going. I think he's gonna make it like pretty far. Honestly, I think he's got the skills to maneuver being on the bottom very well.
Well, Danny had played in a game with him recently, and he said that they were both on the bottom the entire game. It was really fun to play with because he was able to kind of progress further than he should have given his status. So maybe he's one of those players that just needs to play from the bottom in terms of, when he was in the majority, he was really not playing a good game, whereas now he has something to claw out of. And I think maybe a lot of people need that little bit of pressure to get out of their current situation and start playing a better game.
And not be Scott and Jason from Co-Wrong.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if he was that level of, but he was just, I found his pre-merge experience very comical. Him hating all the women, he's like, oh, we need to get these dirty bitches out or whatever. It was pretty ridiculous. But now I do think there is a path for him. I could see him being maybe like a middle merge boot. I think he's going to survive these initial kind of boots. And then I think he's going to make a move. And then right after that, they'll probably pick him off. That's my opinion on him.
What I can't stand about him is it was like a light switched within him.
Yeah.
He was so arrogant and so angry at the women. Like he was constantly talking about how shitty they were and like how hateful they were. And then the second, he lost the power he had over them, he was complaining about how Aurora was such a bitch and all this and like saying
they're not playing with me. Yeah.
And it was just so annoying. I can't stand him.
Yeah, very hypocritical. That being said, I think he went from an obvious like final 11 boot to potentially like a final 5 boot. Having been blindsided, I think it benefited his game tremendously.
I am so sorry I didn't get to play. It was,
you were looking forward the most to confronting Chris, right?
I did not know that at the time of the game, but I'm just saying if I reached the swap, it would have been interesting. I don't think any like that's currently in the game is doing that Black Widow Alliance bullshit that is kind of fun, and that disappoints me greatly.
The girls are not aligning at all. They all absolutely despise each other.
Let's move on to Devon's.
LOL.
I wish he would leave. I mean, I hope he's the merge boot. I mean, I got to thank him for saving Susie and preventing a complete wipeout of the women pre-merge, but he can go.
I honestly think he could be, I think he's going for the long haul. I think the only thing that might get him targeted is I remember he was perceived as like a challenge beast really early on. That's like my only hope for him being booted, is that threat level becomes bad, but I don't know. I can't see them booting him.
All the men want him out more than anyone. They feel the most betrayed by him.
God, please do it.
But the women, the women aren't going to, and Randy's not going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't see unless they want like a really easy boot, which would probably be smart for some of these girls. But I doubt it. I doubt they'll do it.
I think it will happen. I think he's not been around enough.
I don't think they're gonna get rid of him. I don't see a reason why they would want to. I mean, I guess every single vote on this game doesn't make any goddamn sense. So like it could happen. But like if the women and Randy are gonna, stay in, they just gotta take out the other alliance and then start eating themselves.
I think the women will go for an easy male boot right off the bat. If the other men want Devon's out, I can't see them being like, no, let's save Devon's and get rid of Aurora. Like that's no way Reem goes for that.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think that they would try to fuck over one of the guys in the like Eric. They're not gonna Devon's over Aurora, but I think that they have the ability to get rid of one of the other guys at this point.
What I've seen a lot of times, particularly in these seasons where they have these large alliances, like we do have with the women, even though they're turning on each other, is that they get rid of, 2 of the first boots are usually like obvious boots. And then they kind of start really flipping on each other. So I could see something similar happening here. I could see Eric going first, followed by Devon's, or followed by another man that's not super in the mix. Like maybe
I think Ron would be the kind of person that I could see going early.
If the guys decide to be really smart, they pick up on the tension between the specific girls who will definitely 100% kill each other. I like seeing kill or vote out. Is that right?
No, it's not, but we like it.
Okay. Who will definitely are willing to kill each other and play on that. Because
I think you should have just stopped when you started with if the men are smart, because I don't think that they are. I don't think these men are playing half as well as the women are. I think that there are men that are playing well. Like I think Randy's playing particularly well. And actually Chris is not playing terribly either, but the rest of them are a train wreck, really.
The rest are pretty awful. But I really can't think of any besides those two. And really they're like leagues above the others. I think Randy's, well, okay, we're going in alphabetical order, so maybe I'll save it. But I guess I could see him being an early boot, but they're so obsessed with keeping these goats for some reason.
That will work until they need an easy boot, like until an alliance is set and they're picking people off. And then that's really when these goats have to worry, because there's not a strong reason to keep them. That's really when they run into trouble with that. Or in the case of where someone has an idol or the big target wins immunity last minute, that's when they really have to worry. I think really the men in this game, if they survive past a lot of the big threats, it will be because the women are controlling their votes and are using the men against some of the other women. I think that will happen. But I don't see a strong male leadership role outside of Randy at this time. Certainly not to the level of Susie or Reem or Lauren or Michelle,
Mm-hmm. I think that's
really all the women except for Jillian had like a strong leadership sense to them. Like they all are kind of in control, except maybe Lauren plays second fiddle to Michelle, but they're all kind of going head to head. It's crazy.
Honestly, I think being second to Michelle is good for Lauren, though.
I think Lauren's probably playing the best of all the women.
Yes,
but we'll get to Lauren in a second. Eric's toes, but
Eric's amazing though.
He's so good.
I really it was interesting because we were when Eric was first. He did an interview and everyone except for Poody hated him. We all thought he did such a horrible interview. But he had been applying for like 3 years or something, or 4 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
And you were just like, you loved it. You're just like, oh, I can see such potential in him. And we're like, shut up, he's horrible. And then
no, they like attacked me. They were like,
we did.
Do not get you're just fucking. You just like his avatar or whatever. And I was like, all right. I mean, I've only been doing this for 12 years, but continue.
And then. As some man dropped or some man didn't show up, so we replaced him with the Eric. And at first we thought we were correct. Everyone who was attacking Poody, we thought we were correct because he was, boring and he wasn't like doing anything. He was only online at certain times because he's in a different country. But then right when the swap came, he really completely changed. He became this evil mastermind. He was saying all these horrible things, and we love
amazing.
All his he's like diabolical and strategic, but like not in a good way.
It's crazy. He comes online and just tells people what the vote is. It's insane, and they just go along with it, like Ace and all that.
It is working. It's working for him. I won't lie. I mean, not working great now because he's probably going to be the boot. But
all the women absolutely hate him, and for good reason.
But I do have to admit I was wrong, Poody. He is very fun to watch. After that swap, he really came out, and especially taking the necklace too was awesome. And only to get blindsided, it was great, perfect.
I think he could get this this twist that we're about to introduce, which is the public immunity idol, and that could be a way he'll eke out another boot or two. With Eric in the game.
Him immediately like.
I'm afraid he'll weaponize it.
The idol is a nice, fun foreshadowing.
I'm afraid he'll weaponize it like Phoebe. He'll weaponize it like Phoebe, and he may not be like that. Would be super fun. Oh my god, that would be so amazing for our story. But
I don't know. I see this being the kind of cast that might actually flush the public idol for once, as opposed to the last couple times.
Reem's not bucking back and she's bucking back to any threat. So
I feel like, that might be good if Eric got the public idol and they decided to split it between Eric and Devins. That would be like a really good merge episode. I would like that. That would be like perfect. I think that would be like the ideal situation.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance that might happen, that Eric will be the lowest on the ranking. We'll see. I think that's his only shot of surviving this first merge boot, to be honest with you. He's amazing on a couple of levels, and not like the most entertaining, but just enough primo quotes. I couldn't ask for better quotes. And like just like the broken English, and it's perfect. It's amazing. It's everything I had dreamed of.
He also caused some great confessionals.
That's true.
Yeah, and like he's just enough. He's a villain, but he's not playing well enough to be like a serious contender to win. Just enough to give us a good lines and go out kind of an early merge boot. It's perfect. So that's Eric. I'm very pleased with how he's turned out.
I fucking hate him, and I hope he leaves and never shows his face again.
I'm liking him. I hope he makes it. I think he's going to go early, but I want him to make it like to the middle at least. But I don't think he will at all.
I want him to go.
I'd like a final 11 boot would be nice for me.
Who's after Eric? I can't do the alphabet.
Levita asks, do you think Eric would vote for a woman to win?
No.
That's a great question.
No chance.
Maybe if 2 other women are there.
No. He'll probably call women simps or something, or roasties.
Okay, if there are 3 women, who's Eric most likely to vote for? Because if there's any men, he's going to vote for the man.
He won't vote for Susie, and he won't vote for Aurora, I bet. I'd be shocked if he voted for either of them.
I'm gonna throw out a hot take. Could Reem get along with Eric really well? Because I feel like that would be a good pairing.
No, there's no chance.
In my experience, Jackie's correct. They already don't like each other. But I think they could have gotten along. I do think the hyper strategic people in games usually do get along. They usually work together, at least in the beginning of the game. But I think it's already too late. I think Reem already hates him.
I think they're too similar. Maybe they're too similar too. They're both very. Well, I'm not saying Eric is anywhere close to the player that Reem is, but I'm saying aggressive wise, they kind of just throw out the name and that's it. And let's go with it. So, if they disagreed, that would not go well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move on to everyone's favorite player this season, Jillian.
Oh my God. So many things.
To quote Spencer, 0% chance of winning this game.
Yeah, I don't know if she's so much a Cass as she is like a Philip Shepard. She's like a Debbie or a Philip or pick a random person that kind of is a wild card that could screw up everyone's game, but would probably just float along. And that's Jillian. I think a huge mistake to keep her in. I don't think you can rely on her vote particularly. If she's loyal to you, first of all, she's very much ruled by emotions. So it doesn't take much for her to turn against you, but also she does find these one player, usually male, that she obsesses with the whole game. If that's you, Jillian's very useful. I just don't see that in this season. I think she likes Susie, but other than that, I don't know. Jillian, she's crazy. Let's face it. I love her to death. I think she's actually a sweetheart, but I think she's just so crazy she can't help herself.
I don't know why you won't let me invent Chaos Jillian.
Chaos Jillian.
Hung right, but it's just
maybe
instead of Spies Are Us, I feel like she's gonna make Idiots Are Us. She's more Philip Shepard than
we'll have to think of an alliteration, like a jealous Jillian or something. I don't know. We'll think of something.
She's so funny. I love her. She's just such a mess. Nothing. I think she's pretty loyal to Reem at the moment. And
okay.
I think Reem is one of these days she's just going to say the wrong thing to Jillian, and then that will be the downfall of Reem. I could totally see Jillian being the downfall of Reem, which would be really sad, but I totally see it.
Abby Maria situation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best way this happens story-wise, though, you realize.
That's true, yeah. Just, she's put a lot of work into saving her. It would be pretty funny if she was taken out by Jillian or involved with Jillian. She hasn't attached any men like she usually does, which is interesting. I know she really hasn't met that many men except for Ron and Maddie. So I guess that makes sense. But
we shall see. You've played with her the most. Is there a scenario where she goes to the end as a solid ally and she's really just a good extra vote for someone, or is she always going to be that wild card? I've
never played a full org. I've played speed orgs with her, and Rob has played with her before. In my experience, she is actually pretty loyal. If she makes a final 2, she usually sticks to it. And I've seen her play a couple games. She has won, surprisingly enough. I have seen her win a game before. More often than not, though, she's an early boot or she's a final 2 goat. But I do think she does stick to her word. She's not a huge liar,
right?
Which can benefit you in these kinds of games. She's not a double cross, a double talker or a liar. I could see her being a pretty useful vote if someone's smart enough to final 2 her, because I don't think anyone has officially made a final 2 with her. Am I wrong? Has someone officially said, I want to take her to the end of the game, or are they just using her and assuming they'll go to the end with her?
At least from my perspective, when I was in it, I don't think anybody was close with Jillian. I don't think that's changed since I've left the game.
has really protected her a lot. So I could see Susie thinking that. I don't know. See, Susie, I think, is a fantastic player. I just don't know where she is with alliances. I know she gets along with Jillian, and I know she gets along with Reem pretty well. But I also know Reem thinks she's a huge threat, which she's right. So I don't know. This is such a weird group. This is not like people have their number ones and are sticking to it. I have no idea where it's going to go.
Susie was legitimately impossible for me to read in game, and I still think I know what she's thinking at all.
Like, I mean, think about it. Who are the the pairs? There aren't many pairs. There's Michelle and Lauren. That's the only one I know of 100%.
That's it.
Jillian and Reem are pretty close, but I don't, I mean, it's not like they're solid.
I think they're close enough that her vote's going to be, I think Jillian's going to be siding with Reem in the early days, in my mind, for sure. Like, I don't see Jillian going away from Reem for the first, at least until like final 9. And then I think she's going to say something stupid to her, and then that's what's going to bring her down.
Well, it was, Jackie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Susie, Jillian, Reem, and Crystal that were together. Is that correct?
To vote me out?
Yes.
It was those 4, yeah. I think, Jillian clearly did it because she didn't want to get voted out for, legitimate reasons. Susie and Reem were planning on taking me out for a while, and I don't know how they got Crystal inside. I feel like Crystal just saw where things were turning and decided to pick between me and Reem.
So that's a pretty solid alliance, I think. And Michelle, Lauren, and Aurora.
Yeah, I see those kind of, maybe not as pairs, but like loosely aligned trios. I know Reem thinks Susie's like a big threat. And I know, they haven't made anything official with them.
Lauren and Michelle don't like Aurora nearly as much as she likes them.
Yes, which is very sad. They're making a mistake. Aurora, I think she's going to be super loyal to Lauren and Michelle. So I hope they change their mind about that.
Yeah, I feel like Aurora was in a pretty similar situation than I was in my trio alliance.
I think a lot of the women in particular, they are turning on the people that they were most loyal to. So that will be interesting going forward, how that plays out, because that's why I think we're going to see a much more fractured game. I don't think it's going to be men versus women very long, maybe the first 2 boots, but I think Reem is starting to get in with a lot of the guys. I think Michelle and Lauren will get in with some of the guys. In particular, Chris is in with Lauren and Michelle. So I think really the fractures will widen. And I think I could even see, Michelle and Lauren turning on each other, Reem and Jillian turning on each other. So it's not like there's this huge...
Jillian are going to turn on each other. I don't see a reason, at least, why Lauren would turn on Michelle.
I don't think she will soon. I think that's the point.
Maybe towards the end, yeah.
They're very, not that they're game body, but a lot of them are very like worried about going to the end with a threat. And I think it's super early to think about that kind of stuff, but they're all like thinking about it all the time. They're worried about threats in the end of the game.
The weird thing is, I can't imagine any person in this game. There's not a single person in the game that I can say, this person will beat anybody.
Yeah, the jury hasn't happened yet. I do think when the jury starts to come into play, we're going to start to realize who the real contenders are going to be. That's usually how it works.
Usually around final 8, those people start to become really obvious, in particular with like the... touchy subjects challenge.
I love that comp. I can't wait.
That really sets people up as like, these are the threats. This is who you need to get out because the jury likes them. And that's usually when you see the obvious threats come out and the people that they really need to get rid of if they don't win immunity. But you're right. I think there are a lot of really good players this season. There are a lot of people, more than half, I think, are serious contenders to win. So that's going to make the whole merge interesting. I hope that they don't all go after each other immediately, which is what normally happens. Yeah, I mean, it's so typical. Like, in Survivor, you want to take out your threats, but what happens is before you know it, you're the biggest threat in the game and you're going to be sitting on the jury with the other threats. So
I do think shields are very important, but I don't think any of them give a shit about shields. They're all
not yet.
They're not even thinking about it, in my opinion.
No, and this is a new player season, so it's pretty typical. But yeah, I think towards the end, that's when I start pushing that narrative of, I don't hold back at Tribal towards the end where I start seeing floaters. I'll call that out. So, that's when it really gets fun for me because I get to beat up on people at Tribal. So let's move on to Lauren. We talked a little bit about her. I think Lauren might be playing this game.
I think that's correct. I love Lauren's game. I love her confessionals and I love her game. I think Michelle will be taken out way before her. I don't think she'll ever turn on Michelle because I think someone else is going to take her out for her.
Somebody is pick up Michelle because somebody is going to see Michelle is at least running some part of this game. We need to kill her.
I think she's, one of the few girls that like really realizes that Reem's a mess. Like as much as like Reem is in control, I think they're not like super against Reem is the weird thing. Reem might be targeting Susie, but Susie ain't targeting Reem. You know what I mean? I think Lauren's one of the few people who sees Reem as like a big threat. And I think just showing from her confessional, she's super strategic. She's not at the forefront. She's playing a very social game and she's super likable. I can totally see her being the winner.
She's the only woman who is, and the women are in control of the game at this point, in my eyes. She's the only one who sees everything that's going on, but is not acting on that and not trying to be in control of everything. All the other women, Aurora, Reem, Susie, Michelle, they're all kind of duking it out with each other, trying to get their ducks in a row and put together alliances, whereas Lauren's kind of laying back and let Michelle do all the dirty work, which I think is pretty smart, actually.
Yeah, I really feel like Lauren is... I agree with you, Ziggy, that she's the most likely person to win at this point.
I think her, or my other person is Randy. I think Randy's really playing well, but
yeah,
it's early, so it's hard to tell. But at this point, they're playing the best.
I agree. I don't think if there is going to be a bitter jury like you guys think, I think she will be the biggest benefactor of a bitter jury. Not that she isn't playing well or anything, but I do think if people are going to be bitter, I can't imagine anyone's going to be like, "Oh, Lauren, I hate Lauren." I can't see that.
Lauren didn't stab you in the back. Lauren
let someone else stab them and then just kind of relaxed.
We'll see. It could be, the only other problem would be like if she plays with Michelle the entire game and they're both in the final two, that could be bad for her. Because I think Michelle would be one of the situations where her game would not be strong. Let's move on to Maddie. I am impressed that Maddie I think he's stepped up a lot. I don't know that he's playing the best game, but at least he's playing a game and he's in the mix. I think what I really liked about Maddie, the only notable part of him in the merge, is that he recognized he wasn't included in the initial tribe chat where all the women made a group chat and they included Randy, and then he didn't include Maddie. And Maddie found out about it later, and I think they added him after.
I think Lauren told him. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Lauren, or maybe was it Randy?
It was a chat. I think Randy told him that they all had a group chat, which was super smart of Randy.
Didn't Jillian accidentally message somebody that there was a group chat with the girl?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I hope that's what happened. I think it was Randy that...
I swear to God, something like that happened.
Oh, God. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's going to bite someone. I think Maddie will do better than we think, but I don't know if he'll be a serious contender to win. I could see him being like easy fodder towards the middle of the game. I think he's too clued in to be like a final three goat. I don't think he'll make it that far, but he's not clued in enough to win. That's for sure.
I actually think I have a lot of faith in Maddie. Actually, I've been noticing a lot of things I like about him. He's got a lot of connections with the girls, even though they left him out. I do think he's got enough connections with the girls and the guys. I could see him maybe playing the middle. If it's going to like alternate between boys and girls, I could see him being a big benefactor of that.
Okay.
If they take out too many guys, like if they take like 3 guys out before turning on each other, I don't think there's like a chance that Maddie will ever be able to do anything. But if they only take out like 1 or 2 guys, I could see him maybe building something in the shadows and maybe pulling off a big move. I think he's pretty game aware, and he's trying to be aware of his own position, which, as you said before, he said in his confessional, he realized he was being left out of stuff. And I do think he's going to, take action when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. I've been impressed with Maddie lately. Certainly more so than I was in the first half of the game.
He was boring as fuck in the first half of the game.
He's realized that he's fell out of it. And he really needs to step up. And I think he has, to be fair. So we'll see. I'm not sold on Maddie yet as a great player, but certainly he's in the mix. We'll put it that way. Let's move on to someone who I do think is a great player, Michelle. Who
she's awesome.
She is awesome. I think she doesn't get enough credit for how awesome she is. She's super funny, but also really, really observant.
Oh, yeah. She sussed out on day one. She sussed out all those girls' alliances by using the website to her advantage.
Yeah, she's super clued in.
That's like an all-star move. That's something you don't figure out until you've played before, in my opinion. Or usually that's not what...
The thing is, I think I figured it out because of how many alliances and groups were made. but I'm not sure any of us figured it out as quickly as she did.
Yeah, and Reem has been doing that as well. And really, Reem and Michelle, I see going head to head more so than anyone, possibly to both of their detriment. But I think of those two, Michelle is playing maybe not a better game, but certainly more under the radar game, which will benefit her maybe. I think it's so hard to say because, Reem's, for all of Reem's overplaying and aggressive game style, it's really worked for her. Like, I don't think Reem would be capable of just taking a back seat. I think playing a million miles an hour has really benefited her to be able to stay ahead of the game.
I think Reem a lot reminds me of like Chelsea from Morocco, but like without me bringing her down.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
Yeah, so I don't know how that. I think normally Michelle is the one who I'd put money on, but in this situation, Reem's pretty good. I think they end up costing each other the game eventually,
I can see that definitely happening.
I can see them both going back to back as soon as one turns on the other.
Right.
It's usually how that kind of stuff goes.
Probably around final 8, that will happen.
Yeah, hopefully not soon. Yeah, Reem has been working a lot on Michelle. Reem and Michelle have actually been getting along a lot, but
that's true.
Reem's so brutal, though. I totally feel like she'll cut her immediately. But they have gotten along a lot since the swap.
I'm not saying that if Reem's thinking about Susie, she's thinking about Michelle. If she sees anybody as threats to her game, it's those two.
Well, the thing is, they can't all. Reem overthinks everything, so she's probably a few steps ahead in her own mind of who she should target. Like she makes an alliance and then instantly thinks, well, that person's kind of threatening because she's getting along with them. So I don't know. I don't know where the boot order is in Reem's head. That's actually a good question. We should probably ask her in confessional.
I don't understand Reem too, so I guess maybe I shouldn't even say anything.
Yeah, I think Reem's game is just, like I said, she's moving a million miles a minute, and I think it's benefiting her because people can't keep up with her plan. She makes a move on them before they get the chance to make a move on her. How that impacts Michelle, I see these two going head to head, at least in my eyes. I think they're each other's biggest competition.
For sure.
So let's move on to Randy. I put Randy as number 1 in my fan favorite, and that's pretty hard to do considering all the other great players. But Randy, to me, is so amazing. I'm a little biased because he did cry about how amazing Stranded is. So, kudos for Kiss Ass points, but he's so great. You could feel that he's enjoying this so much in the way he's playing. And to his credit, he's one of the few people in the game that's really crossed tribal lines to the point of not caring about them at all. And that has really benefited him, I think. And it's really going to benefit him now in the merge because he can make any move he wants, where you can't really say that for too many other players outside of maybe Reem. So Randy stands a good chance to win. I don't think anyone dislikes Randy.
I'm sad I didn't get to play with him, honestly.
Yeah, super. I didn't expect him to be this lovable, but he really is.
Randy's really perfect in every way. First of all, video confessionals, which are awesome. He's so funny in the from lurking. He's so funny in DMs. And he's playing an excellent game. The girls trust him. The guys trust him. He, especially after that move, the whole split vote where he got away with voting in the minority, but on purpose. I don't think anyone suspects Randy of being sneaky. And Devon's thinks that they're in a final 2 as well. So he's got a couple people lined up for him. I know Chris trusts him. Eric trusts him. Everyone trusts him. The girls all trust him. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, we really thought Randy would be this wild card, crazy guy, because that's kind of how he comes across. But he's really been a mad scientist here. He's kind of killing it. He's killing it. He's really well liked by everyone. He was able to see, these women are actually really cool, and I get along with them, and I want to play with them. And he's made really good bonds with Susie, and all the women love him. I don't have enough. There aren't enough good things I can say about Randy. Really.
He's I put him above Lauren, and personally, I think he's playing the best game in the.
Him and Susie are my favorites.
Oh yeah, Susie's amazing too. Oh my god.
The thing with Randy is, I think eventually people might have that realization.
That's true.
The realization that this guy would beat us.
Yeah, around final 6 is going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he will make it that far, but he will have problems getting final 3.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I could see him being the final boot. I could totally see him being the 4th place robbed goddess. in the season of actual goddesses.
So let's talk. We talked about Reem enough, I think.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ron.
Ron. That's how I feel about Ron.
I want to love Ron. He's just not giving me enough to love him. I love his personality. I think he's in a great position to do some damage, but he's not done anything. And he's not around enough to do anything, really, is part of the problem. I think he has potential to do a lot in the merge, or at least go out in a blaze of glory and become a big character. It's not there yet. I'd like it to get there, but we'll see. I doubt it.
I could totally see. This is the thing. I think he's either going to go really early, or I think he could make it to the end. I don't think he's going to be a middle boot.
Okay.
He's super like that. The thing is, first of all, the activity level. I don't think many people are super attached to Ron, which can either be like, an easy boot, or it'll help him make it deep in the game. Whether he'll be like a winner contender, not super sure. He's just, a lot of people don't really like him, Yeah,
he's earned his reputation as a wild card that way.
Yeah, he was the first to flip, but he did it like way worse than anyone else that had flipped at the swap. Everyone else who flipped at the swap did it way better. And he just has been. I was shocked he didn't go over Marcus.
This is my gripe with Ron. Mm-hmm. He has the goods. He's really funny. He was in the position where everyone didn't like him, but he didn't deliver on the train wreck promise. And I really needed that from him. I needed my train wreck from Ron, and he didn't give it to me. So I'm mad at Ron.
Enough train wrecks this season?
No, there's never enough. There's never enough.
This is stranded, please.
Yeah, we love train wrecks.
We casted these guys on the promise that there would be train wrecks. So
have we not provided that entertainment? Are you not?
There's no limit.
The women have provided entertainment in spades. I think the men we had casted in hopes that they would be a little bit more train wrecky, and they haven't. To be fair, War Dog and Ace were probably our best hopes of that, and they have, they went early, so oh well. But
War Dog and Ace was nice to be the train wrecks.
He came. Yeah. He had an amazing interview. He was he came off of another series. It was called Survivor Michigan, I think, and he had been voted out with an idol in his pocket after playing like a
War Dog.
Oh, sorry, War Dog was. He's got like kind of a reputation. They both had kind of like a reputation going in, and unfortunately, they went a little too early to realize that reputation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we're left with the men that were kind of underplaying. In which case, I just don't want to see all of them at the end of the game. That would be super disappointing if like the jury's all made up of Aurora, Reed, Michelle, Lawrence, Randy. It'd be so upsetting if like our final couple of people are Ron, Charlie, and
what has to happen for that to be the situation, though?
Honestly, it's not. Yeah, especially if they keep going big threat. If they're gonna go big threat hunting from like 13 onward, I do think it could be like a Ron, Charlie, Jillian kind of final three.
Yeah, I mean,
or like Devon's honestly, maybe.
More often than not, that's what happens. Is the merge happens, and one after the other, they take out the biggest threat one by one until we're left with like one big threat towards the end, and then they get booted off, and we're left with 3 people in the final that suck. I mean, that's typically what happens. So I hope that's not the case this season. My alarm bells aren't ringing just yet, but I do want to see some of these fodder people go soon.
To Ron's credit, at least I don't think he's acting like a goat. You know what I mean? I don't think it's
not intentional. Yeah,
he's not coasting. I'll give him that. He is really trying to flip, but just no one likes him. And it's like he really did try and flip immediately as soon as he swapped. Like he pre-voted a guy within like seconds of the swap. So I do think he is trying to do things, but he's just failing very quickly.
Yeah, he's going to need to get in with someone like immediately. And really start playing the game to have a shot at winning.
Yeah.
But I think that's all we can say. So let's move on to, I think, the star of the season so far, outside of Randy and Reem.
Queen, Susie.
Susie, who has blown all of us away in all aspects. I think she's so likable. She's, of course, a 55-year-old woman, which we love. We love having the diversity. It's not typical that we get older players, let alone someone in their 50s playing. So, anytime someone applies who's older, we jump on that opportunity. And really, she's exceeded our expectations and then some. I want to say maybe certainly our best character this season, in the contention for of all time, depending on how it plays out in the merge. But I mean, it just doesn't get better. Like she found an idol. She's super lovable. She's really funny. Everything she says is just very entertaining and really likable and different than what we're used to seeing. Man, I can't say good enough things about this cast, but in particular, Susie. Yeah, thoughts?
Yeah, Susie. As I was a little worried about Susie at the very beginning of the game because she wasn't DMing anyone, which was really funny. Everyone had to start DMing her first, and then she started to really pick up in the game. She attached to Reem she was almost kind of at the bottom of the tribe at the very beginning, mm-hmm. And then she she started finally DMing some people. She got in with Reem, which I think was a big move. At the swap, she's been making big moves. She got people to flip with her. She's, been part of these elaborate fake votes and, split plans. And I do think she's amazing. Oh, yeah.
And that's really the most impressive part because, we've had older players before and people who aren't, the ones we've had in the past, let's say, we've had some that were not the most technologically savvy. So, they weren't good in challenges, or they didn't get in the mix well enough, or they were just kind of likable but fringe players. That is not the case with Susie. I would liken her to a Candace or an isolated Michelle, which is what we had hoped for, and I'm so glad happened. Mm-hmm. Really a strong player, contender to win. At the very least, she is getting her hands dirty, which is all we can ask for.
I love her. And her confessionals are hilarious. When Crystal went, when she was just like, "Bye, Felicia." That was just so funny to me.
And all the time,
she's like a savage, which is so funny. Even when she loses an ally, she can't help but laugh because her ally was an idiot. You know what I mean? She's great. She's so likable. I don't think she's gonna win this game because she's just too likable. There's no way anyone's gonna let her get to the end.
Danny says comparing her to Candace and Michelle is I don't think so. I think if this was their first game, because Candace and Michelle, you got to remember, had played, games for years. So they had time to hone their skills. This is Susie's first game. Mm. And she's really strategically savvy. I can remember in particular when that whole thing went down and Aurora, Susie had to pull her aside and be like, "Shut up. Brandy is telling us that you are losing it for us. You need to stop being so crazy with all these things." It was kind of awesome. She was like, "Stop it. You're going to blow this for us." And really that kind of saved her own ass because she could have blown it for him,
She's amazing. She's incredible.
What were you going to say, Jackie?
I was just going to say, the thing is though, when I was playing in the game with her, I didn't know what she was thinking or doing or anything at all. And that could have just been an individual relationship. But if that's kind of the vibe that she's given off in game more, I'm not sure she's going to be able to make it to the end.
I don't think she's going to make it to the end, but I do think she's going to make it far. I think she's going to make it final 7, maybe.
I think that's fair. I think Susie, one of the bigger problems with Susie is that she's really locked into her core. Mm-hmm. And, she even made the comment to Eric and Ace and Chris after the blind side when they started coming to her. She was even like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." She went out of her way to be like, "They aren't even talking to me, so I'm not even going to bother." Which I get, but is also not the best play. You should really try to get along with everyone, even if they like you. That's an opportunity to make them like you, and that's something Susie lacks. But it is very entertaining, so I appreciate it. Entertainment standpoint, Susie's at the top of the.
Susie's amazing.
She's great.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. The entire pre-merge was defined by us praying that Susie would not go home because she was in danger. So to have her find an idol and be, for Randy to switch over, that was a big reason why we love Randy now. It was just it added so much to the experience that you can't not put her as one of the top characters because we want her to succeed so much. So that is our merge tribe. I am really looking forward to this merge. I think we're in for a dramatic ride. I'd be shocked if it was sailing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be very dramatic. I can't see a final tribal council peaceful like Ziggy.
That doesn't end with people screaming
Yeah, I think very least we'll get like Michelle, Reem, and Aurora in the jury, and they're just going to be monsters. Like I would need to face them in a final three as questioning me, but I could be wrong. We'll see. Every season's different, but this one looks like it's
No,
going to
this
be.
can have a brutal jury. I don't see a way that it doesn't.
This season's pre-merge has been better than Morocco's pre-merge, and Morocco had a better pre-merge. So I'm hoping all things considered, this goes, and I think it will. I think we have the character.
Let's hope it doesn't go like Morocco. If it goes like Morocco, then that will be kind of sad.
Yeah, unless
I'm curious.
Unless it's Reem.
No, that would still be bad. I mean, that would be kind of hilarious.
Gotta ask.
So that was our last new player season, and that was Ziggy, who played as Sebastian in that season. Ziggy played. He had just come off of our Big Brother series, the one that Jillian had played in, and he played as a new player in Stranded, and really kind of dominated the whole thing. It just so happens that Ziggy turned into like one of our best players. So like a lot of these new players did not stand a chance. We didn't know that ahead of the season, but it just so happened he evolved into like the ultimate player in between his time in Isolated and Stranded. So the whole merge was just everyone loving Ziggy and letting Ziggy skate to the end with the public immunity idol.
Yeah, I had an idol.
JT Kimming it.
I was, basically. And more like Boston Rob, I'd say, because the jury was so damn bitter at me.
That's true.
But I had a public idol, which I didn't need for the entire game. I got it in front of everyone, and no one ever tried to flush it. I had 0 votes against me. Always voted in the majority. Very boring. I booted everyone, and it was a boring season. It was a very boring season. Is what it was. I liked it.
Yeah, to the bane of Danny's existence.
Danny hated it. But it was basically a lot of really fascinating characters, like a really likable cast, and then it was just me slitting all of their throats back to back to back. So it was, it was not fun to watch, but
in retrospect, it was just a piss poor game on Ziggy's part. Like he did so terrible. It was just a bad game.
What's y'all's favorite seasons of Stranded?
Oh, we need to do that podcast. But
don't you say Mongolia is the best one?
Yeah, I still think our 5th season was our best, just because of all the characters, and I can get into why. But
okay.
Also, Faroe Islands, the one with Candace, it reminds us of Susie, who was a middle-aged mother who just dominated socially, and that's Penner, who is like our favorite winner, probably the best player in Stranded history, I think.
The hottest winner.
He's like a model, basically, in real life. But he was just super. It was a super entertaining season, and everyone, even like most of the pre-merge, really big characters. So that was probably our best season.
Your worst season?
Our worst season was the first men versus women season. Probably I'm a little biased towards it because I didn't have a whole lot of involvement. It was the one season graduating college, so here and I needed to step away, have someone else host, and it just wasn't the same. And the season I thought was pretty boring. There were a lot of inactives, which is never good. That was like the one season I don't think was actually even a good game. Whereas most seasons of Stranded, even the bad ones, are entertaining to watch. Like even Morocco, super entertaining to watch. Like we podcasted, and even though it was frustrating, it had good characters and everything else. That one didn't even have good characters.
Your non-biased opinion.
It was. I've only been around like the last 3 seasons, but I definitely think this one might be the strongest of the 3 I've been at least involved in.
Yeah, of the newer seasons.
So far at least. It's the last season.
Stronger than All Stranded?
I mean, the pre-merge of All Stranded wasn't that crazy. I think the merge is a lot more fun. I don't know if their merge is going to
underestimate. That's not fair because that's but in terms of like new players, I don't know. Sri Lanka was pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I just think it's a return because we had Turks and Caicos, which was okay. It wasn't like a fantastic. And then we had Morocco with the cast was fantastic, but it was pretty predictable. But this season's not predictable so far. The pre-merge was phenomenal, and all of the characters are great. So I have high hopes for this. I hope it finishes strong as it was.
Hopefully. I have one more question.
Sure.
7 Deadly Sins challenge. What would be yours?
Oh, that's a good question.
What would be assigned to you?
What are the greed?
7 sins.
Let me think. I'm trying to think.
Are you saying like what?
Like which players? The thing is, there's 13 of them, so I'm like little. You mean the players, right? Or
No, I mean you. Like as a player, like what's your fatal flaw?
oh, when I play, I usually like play from the top the whole time, and that's usually makes me like too big of a threat. I don't know what sin that would be. Yeah. Gluttony, I guess. Yeah, I usually try and have too many allies, and then they all find out about each other. Mine
would be wrath, I think, or anger. I don't know what it is. Anger, I think it would be mine. I get way too angry. I kind of use it. I have won twice in another series I played, but usually it's because I'm using anger to my advantage. I think you have to make your biggest flaws your biggest strengths. I think that's
makes sense.
If you play the game unlike yourself, you have to lean into yourself, is what I would say. When I tried to play quiet and under the radar, it's never worked. I can't do it. I'm not good at that. I have to be over the top. I have to be seen, or I'm just going to get bored and fade out of the game or something. So really, that's my advice. Play to your strengths, play to your weaknesses.
What would yours be, Nofo?
Pride or wrath, I think.
I think mine would be envy, but I'm not sure.
That's a pretty good one for you.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, we did that challenge in our first season, and we repeated it for a long time.
Yeah, I found that.
But we have not done it super. We did it in Turks and Caicos.
We did it in Venezuela, and then I was the one doing the ranking in that, so I've never been matched up to Sin.
I told them that you guys were going to do that, which I'm kind of proud of.
Yeah, we don't do it every season because there is a way to cheat with it by like putting everyone in alphabetical, which is not fun. And like, why do the challenge?
Ziggy would have done that.
Yeah, Ziggy would have killed our fun.
No.
I have done like things like that. I remember in Isolated. Didn't I fuck over one of your challenges in Isolated?
You ruined 2 of them.
Boring.
I forgot what it was, but yeah, I did. I'm really good at that kind of stuff and gaming the system.
No, you gotta do it. It's not fun otherwise.
It's not fun as a host when they ruin a challenge 30 minutes before it's supposed to go live, and you have a backup, but that falls through because the person who got voted out goes offline immediately after, so you have to scramble to come up with a new challenge. That's not fun.
I had fun.
So I think that's going to wrap up our podcast. I want to thank Jacquie for joining us. Hopefully not for the last time. Thank Ace too, even though it was brief. And we look forward to the merge.
Of course.
All right. I gotta go. Peace.
Y'all have a lovely day.
You too.